If you're thinking about getting a Capital One business credit cards, it's really important to understand that Capital One has recently come up with a new set of rules, and you need to know about those rules so that you can get the business credit card that you really need. Okay. So in today's conversation, I really want to give you a few tips, a few tricks, a few hacks that will help you when it comes to Capital One business credit cards. It doesn't matter whether you're an LLC, an S corporation, a C corporation, or an LP. And the cool thing is you can apply for this business credit card with an EIN, with an employer identification number. Not a problem. So here are the steps I really want you to pay attention to. So when we talk about getting a Capital One business credit card in the first place, you need to be clear about what type of credit cards you need. Because Capital One has a constellation of business credit cards, so you got to ask yourself, which business credit cards right now is appropriate for my specific business? Am I looking for a rewards business credit card? Am I looking for a balance transfer? Am I looking for a travel rewards? I'm looking for a cashback. Whatever it is, you got to be really clear, okay? Because the particular Capital One business credit cards that you'll be attracted to will have, not attracted to, but you'll be drawn to will have a big impact in the level of the kind of relationship you have with Capital One. Okay, so I want you to really write down right now, what are you looking for? What are you after? What is important for you when it comes to your next Capital One business credit card? Boss, are you after rewards? What do you want from your Capital One business credit card rewards? Are you looking for miles, points, or cashback? Which will allow you to get the most out of your rewards? Are you looking for welcome bonuses? Because a welcome bonus can provide easy to achieve bonus rewards early, so extra cash to help your startup or fund your vacation is a great perk. So we're talking about business, like established businesses or startups. What about fees and APRs? Is that important for you? Because Capital One does have a pretty high, not pretty high, but relatively high APRs. Okay, so this is important. By the way, welcome back to the show. Hope you're doing fantastic today. We are happy to have you here. I'm just going through a few features you need to think about when actually picking a Capital One credit card, business credit card that is. So what about the benefits? Okay, because many of Capital One's the business credit cards have some similar features, but travel rewards cards are often travel oriented benefits. Okay, so you want to consider what rewards you or your business will actually use, and you want to choose a card that is suitable to you. What about introductory APR? So those are things I really want you to think about before choosing your Capital One business credit card. Here is a bonus I want you to really have in mind. It's really important to understand that when we talk about a Capital One business credit card, you need to actually be clear about the card that is great for your business in terms of your legal structure, but also your industry. If you're in an industry where you tend to entertain clients, right? Taking clients to dinner or entertaining, like spending a lot of cash for travel and entertainment, then you want to go for a card that actually rewards that type of operational behavior. Okay, and you got to also ask yourself whether or not the specific card you want to go after requires a high level of a credit score. In other words, because you need to understand that Capital One, since the last revamp when it comes to their business credit cards, they have introduced a new set of charge cards. In other words, there's no limit, but you have to pay the full amount every month. So you got to be clear about which card that you want to go after. Okay, and so if you go after a card that actually requires that it's not a charge card, but it does require a higher credit score, you got to ask yourself whether or not you have a high credit score. Okay, and by the way, I want to quickly remind you, today's topic, we're having a conversation about Capital One business credit cards. How do you apply? How do you get a massive amount approved real fast? And how do you apply even with EIN? Now let's talk about the EIN part. The EIN part just means that you basically have to contact Capital One and preferably go to a branch. And Capital One, actually, they call their branches cafes, Capital One cafes. And Capital One is not present in a lot of states. I think they are geographically restricted. So they have a presence in about 10 states. And if you're lucky enough to actually go to live in a state where they are present, go to a cafe and have a conversation there. But it is totally possible. We have clients, our own team has applied successfully. We do have 3 or 4 business credit cards from Capital One on an EIN only basis. In other words, our personal credit scores are not monitored. Everything is fine. Whatever we charge on the card, we pay every month. Not a problem. Okay, but and you can do it too. Now, one thing I want to do here is that I really want to explain to you the business credit cards from Capital One, the typology, which one you should go after, depending on your specific situation. Okay, because the bottom line here is I want you to have I want you to beef up your Capital One business credit card game and go after those cards that will really help you. Okay, if you're looking for, let's say, you're looking for miles rewards, you really want to go after the Capital One Miles for Business. Okay, this is a card that really allows you to actually beef up your miles rewards, especially if you are if you have some kind of travel related business, maybe for work or for your clients. You want to go after the Capital One Spark Miles for Business. This is a card that allows you to earn 2 miles per dollar on every purchase and 5 miles per dollar on hotels and rental cars booked through Capital One Travel with a Capital One Spark Miles for Business. Okay. And what we love about the card here is that the card charges like a 0%, like a $0 intro for the first year, but they charge you afterwards though. They charge you $95, which is really nothing. When you think about the benefits the cards are bringing you, you are really better off anyway. Okay, so in terms of rewards, you earn 2 miles per dollar on every purchase and 5 miles per dollar on hotels and rental cars. But you got to book everything through Capital One Travel. Okay, now in terms of, you also have $100 TSA pre-check or global entry reimbursement credit, and the standard Capital One business perks like free employee cards, virtual numbers, and 0 for liability. Okay, and so this is kind of cool. And this card also offers extended warranty protections. You have miles transfer to participating partners, 2 free annual visits to Capital One lounges. You have access to Capital One Travel, and they also charge no foreign transaction fees. So this is really good. And you do have a welcome bonus of 50,000 miles. This is really cool. We love that a lot. So, overall, great card. And the regular APR is kind of high, though. That's the problem that we have with Capital One in general. Their APR is kind of high. So they're charging you 25.74%. And this can go all the way to 30%. Let me talk to you about the second card here. And this is actually the Spark Cash Plus. Now, the thing here is that this card is it is a business credit card from a Capital One, but it's not a regular credit card. It is basically a charge card. And what we love about the card here is that it does give you 2% cash back on every purchase and 5% cash back on hotels and rental cars booked through Capital One Travel. So this is really good, okay? But the thing is that just make sure that you're able to spend a lot on the card, because the card comes with a $150 annual fee, and they don't waive it the first year though. No, there's no waive. The first year you have to pay $150, and the same thing for the next few years over and over. Okay. So the 2% cashback is kind of cool, because if you think about it, if you're in the right industry, if you're charging the right expenses on the card, you can actually very quickly offset that $150. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's conversation. We're having a quick convo about Capital One business credit cards. Okay, what's the best one for you? What's the best strategy for you? And one thing I want to say here is that when we talk about the Capital One business credit card, just remember one thing, and I just said it before: do not carry a balance on the card. It is a charge card. If you carry a balance, you are exposing yourself and your business to very hefty penalties. Okay, because Capital One will charge you every month $2.99% late fee. Now, $2.99% if you just multiply that by 12, that's 36%. But it doesn't work that way because it is compounded and it's even more. So you don't want to carry anything here, okay? Now, the Capital One Spark Cash Plus offers a $200 cash bonus for spending $200,000 or more on the card each year. The card also comes with Capital One's standard business credit card benefits, including $0 for liability, extended warranty, virtual card numbers, no foreign transaction fees, and free employee cards. So this is really, really cool. Okay, so overall, this is a great card to have, at least to think about. But it does have, again, an annual fee of $150. Let me talk to you about another card that you will love here. This card is actually, it's a cashback card that we love a lot. And basically it's called the Spark Cash Select from Capital One. Okay, this is a card that allows you to actually to have a regular credit card. The only problem is, it's not a problem. I shouldn't be saying this. It's not a problem. It's just that the card is a little bit like an elite card because you do need to have excellent credit. Okay, so with 1.5% cashback on every purchase and 5% cashback on hotels and rental cars booked through Capital One Travel, the Spark Cash Select from Capital One requires excellent credit to qualify, but they do not charge an annual fee. Okay, so in terms of rewards, okay, you have it there, and there's a welcome offer of $500 cash bonus after you spend $4,500 in the first 3 months, which is really like it's manageable. This is really manageable, okay, and this is really cool. So one thing I need to say here, the regular APR here is kind of cool. It's a little lower, so you have a 17.99% to 23.99%, but the credit score requirements are kind of high, so they want you to have like 750 to 850. So you're talking like real high, okay? So you got to ask yourself, your business right now, if you want to apply with EIN, and if you get approved, that's fine. If you do not get approved, do you have at least a high credit score that you can parlay, okay, as a positive item, as a positive marker when Capital One, let's say, reviews your whole credit card application? One thing I also need to say here is that it's always important to also try to cultivate a relationship with Capital One on the banking side. Even though Capital One doesn't have a presence in all the 50 states, they have presence, as I said, in about 10 states. Capital One is still a major business lender in this country. So they'll take care of you when it comes to business lines of credit. They offer business term loans. They offer they actually offer a lot. They do equipment financing. They do healthcare financing. If you are in the right state, the right geography, and you have the right paperwork, they'll take care of you. They'll actually finance whatever you have. I want to talk to you now about the Capital One Spark Classic for Business. Okay, now this is a card that is actually, if the card that I just spoke to you about, the Spark Cash Select from Capital One, this was like a very top of the notch card. And the Capital One Spark Classic for Business is just the opposite. Okay, the card offers a 1% cashback on every purchase and 5% cashback on hotels and rental cars booked through Capital One Travel. Okay, but this card actually is there if you are trying to rebuild credit, or if you have, let's say you have fair credit, the card is great for you. Okay, and so the card, you can earn 1% cashback on every purchase and 5% cashback on hotels and rental cars booked through Capital One Travel. But the APR is kind of high. It's pretty close to 30%. Okay, and but the cool thing, if you have limited or fair credit, that's fine, and it doesn't matter. See, what we love about this card is that it doesn't matter whether you have it doesn't matter the legal structure of your card. Okay, it's Capital One will take you really if you have if you have an LLC, if you have an LP, if you have an S corporation, if you have a C corporation, even if your business finances are not really in top shape, Capital One will take care of you. Now, do not expect them to give you 25 grand or 30 grand or 50 grand to start with, because they really need to make sure that you are basically you basically are able to manage your finances properly but it is definitely interesting card. And so the card has free employee cards. In other words, the Capital One will give up to 99 free employee cards. You have no foreign transaction fee. Now you can apply with limited or fair credit, not a problem. And the good thing is that Capital One gives to you a constellation of business spending management tools, everything from accounting to business debt to analytical dashboards that allow you to track whatever is happening. This is really cool. And the bottom line here is that you are able to find out exactly how much you need, okay, or how much you are spending every single month on your Capital One credit card. Fantastic. Last but not the least, I want to talk to you about another card that we actually have unearthed. That's the Capital One Spark Miles Select for Business. Now, this is a card that's actually pretty interesting. Why? Because the card has a combo of travel rewards with balance transfers, and it even has some cashback components to it. So for us, this is like the trifecta. This is the 3-in-1, really. The good thing is that with this card, you can earn 1.5 miles per dollar on every purchase with Capital One with this card, and the card charges no annual fee and offers a 0% introductory APR for 9 months on purchases. Then you have a standard APR that goes from 18.74% to 28.74%. Okay, and this is variable on balance transfers and purchases. So this is kind of cool. And you have a welcome offer, a welcome bonus where you earn 20,000 miles, equal to $200 in travel after spending $3,000 on purchases within the first 3 months from account opening. So you have the ability to actually increase your bonus takeaway. Okay, and one thing we love about this card is that the card has no foreign transaction fee. You are able to earn unlimited miles that never expire, not require, and miles can be transferred to Capital One's travel partner. So their travel partners. This is really good also because you have flexibility in terms of if you are clients, you have flexibility. The card has free employee cards, and there is actually a 0% intro APR on purchases. So overall, when you think about this card, this is a great card, but you got to be in a situation, your business must be in a situation where it would benefit from the card. Okay, otherwise this is just a waste of time or waste of credit limits. Okay, so be very careful you want to be careful with the type of business credit cards from Capital One you apply for and what you really are after. Okay, as I said before, it really depends on what you are after, and most importantly, what kind of expense trends do you see in the industry. Okay, what kind of expense trends do you see in your industry in relationship with 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? This will help you make sure that you are making the right decision. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was just talking to you about Capital One business credit cards, and we actually reviewed a few things. I explained to you how to pick a business credit card from Capital One, and then we reviewed some of the best Capital One business credit cards: Capital One Spark Miles for Business, Spark Cash Plus, Cash Select from Capital One, Spark Classic for Business, and Spark Miles Select for Business. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.